Welcome back to Drinks and a Movie. Here after the new year, I want to wish everybody a happy new year and happy holidays. I took a couple weeks off after Star Wars because I was just exhausted from being so excited from Star Wars. I want to take a minute to recognize my friend Alex, and now I'm just going to call him one of my producers. Alex, who gave me this for Christmas. Look at this. Look at this awesome thing. This is a bartender's key, and it has my little logo on it. It has my catchphrase, and it's super cool, and I love it. I want to thank him so much for it. All right, so let's get right into it. Today I'm going to be talking about the Hateful Eight, the new Quentin Tarantino Western, and I'll be making the drink called the Mule Skinner. And what a Mule Skinner is, and I did a little bit of research on it. It's kind of what they drank back in the old West times when they didn't want to just drink straight whiskey. Which straight whiskey was apparently grain alcohol, burnt sugar, and tobacco leaves, all mixed into one, and they got whiskey, and that sounds just delicious. And so what a Mule Skinner is still a whiskey. Along with blackberries, blackberries and limes, all muddled up in here in the mortar and pestle. I'm gonna cut this in half though. And it was kind of like their version of a mixed drink, a manly mixed drink of lime, blackberries, and whiskey. So I'm just gonna muddle this up in my mortar and pestle here. Get a little. This takes out some of your aggression from holiday shopping. Get it in there. Look at this cool thing too. This old school mortar and pestle I got here. It's very heavy. It's made of stone. Stone. All right. Got that all done, and put that on the thing. So. Look at that, just a bunch of slimy blackberry into my tin cup here, and some whiskey. Slosh it about because they didn't have stirrers, they didn't have shakers, they didn't have ice. It was just parts thrown in there. If they didn't want to taste tobacco alcohol, they put some blackberries and lime in it. So anyway, we're gonna try this and see how it is. Old school style. Pop a little bit more in there, why not? A little bourbon. All right, here we go. Cheers. It's delicious. All right, so today I'll be talking about The Hateful Eight, Quentin Tarantino's new film. Now I'm excited about this film because Quentin Tarantino is a lover of film, and you can tell because he tries to just do things that are a little different, a little unexpected. And in this instance, he filmed The Hateful Eight in 70mm Panavision. What that means is that he actually used the cameras and lenses that were used back in the 60s to film like Ben-Hur and Lawrence of Arabia and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in wide format Panavision. Now, wide format Panavision, it means the aspect ratio is 2.78. Most movies are filmed in either 2.4 or 1.85. 1.85 will fill out most rectangular screens, like your widescreen TV or your theater. They'll fill those out. Some other movies that are like Star Wars are filmed in 2.4. This was filmed in 2.78. Wide, huge, vast landscapes can be filmed like this. And what's even better with these cameras is that, sure, landscapes are beautifully filmed and they look amazing on it, but what looks even better is very intimate shots that are indoors, which most of this movie is. It's set in one place, in this cabin in the middle of a blizzard, where these 8 characters meet and have to deal with each other through this blizzard. And the reason this 70mm Panavision is so amazing is that it makes the action in this cabin look as if you were watching a stage play. I mean, it really was. It was that clear. It was that crisp. It was like the actors were right there. And that's the whole point of this whole 70 millimeter experience. It was this, what he calls a special roadshow engagement. It came along with programs, just like if you went to a play. It had an orchestral introduction. It had an intermission about halfway through. It was a night out at the movies, like they used to do back in the old days, where you put on a suit and tie and a hat and a nice dress. Not all at once. You should either put on a suit and tie or a nice dress. Just suggesting. And you went out to the movies and you enjoyed a wonderful night out. Look at this thing. It has like pictures and just the coolest stuff. It has all the actors, just like a playbill would if you were in the theater. And I think that's just the coolest thing in the world. I mean, he had to get it was 98 theaters to put in special projectors to show these, and Quentin Tarantino is back, and this time he tells the story of Kurt Russell's character, the hangman, trying to take his prisoner, Jennifer Jason Leigh, back for her to hang. And it's about him and the people he meets along the way and getting stuck in this cabin in a blizzard. And it's essentially like Clue, except in the Old West, stuck in this cabin. It's so good. His dialogue is back in full force. And his mainstay actors are back as well. Tim Roth, Michael Madsen, Samuel L. Jackson, I think have been in every one of his movies. But the new ones, he kind of likes to bring back some old actors that haven't been around in a while, like he did with John Travolta, and so this time it's Kurt Russell and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Kurt Russell, both of them are amazing. Kurt Russell, though, looks like he's straight out of the Old West, with his kind of tiny beady eyes and his leather-worn face and this amazing facial hair with this huge head of wonderful Kurt Russell hair. He's always had great hair, the son of a bitch. So, I mean, oh my God, he's so good. In addition to that, you have Damian Bashir, Bruce Dern, and Walter Goggins. Walter Goggins, both he and Sam Jackson are the standout performance of this movie. I mean, both of them are just so good, and Sam Jackson's best performance that he's had in years and years. Noticed is this cartoony violence that normally is sometimes a bit much with Tarantino, especially recently with Django Unchained and Inglourious Basterds. But oh God, yeah, that burns good. But this time it didn't bother me as much, and the reason why is with the 70 millimeter Panavision, it felt so much like a stage play that when the violence happened, and it was very cartoony and broad, it was as if you were watching what they do on stage. So on stage, if somebody gets stabbed or shot, there's a lot of times a red handkerchief being pulled out of the neck or the chest or something like that to evoke blood, and that's the way it happens in here. And it doesn't really take you out of it because this isn't meant to make you feel like it's real. It's meant to be a entertaining piece of art. So this movie also had amazing music in it by Ennio Morricone. Now, most of you watching may not know the name. Some of you might. I mean, if you do, great. I didn't, and I'm a huge film buff. And who Ennio Morricone is he composes music, and he hadn't composed music for, I think, almost 40 years. So since again the 60s, like when the same time period where he brought these cameras in from, Quentin Tarantino, he did music for like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and a lot of the Old Wests, and it's booming, it's wonderful, it brings you back to the old times of these epic sprawling westerns. Things that I didn't like in the movie, and it's really very few and far between, and honestly it's a little bit nitpicky because I really like this movie. But one of the things was it's a little too long, and what I mean by a little too long was it took a little too long to get to the cabin, which most of the action takes place in. There's some good dialogue in the coach on the way there, but it seemed like a really long time, and it drug on. I don't know how long it took. but it seemed to just drag. I just wanted the story to get moving. Now, the other thing I didn't like, there was this weird thing Tarantino did with slow motion, kind of toward the end of the movie, that I didn't particularly care for. It didn't make sense. It was kind of out of place. It was weird. The dialogue was really, that kind of thing. It was just slow motion. Totally weird, and I was like, what? Why? The last thing is Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum has this cameo in it, and it's not his fault. I like Channing Tatum, but around all the other actors, he just seemed really out of place. And it's not a big part. It's not anything that lowered the movie anything for me. But I think they could have either went with a better actor or just a nobody for that part, and it would have been better. All right, so to sum everything up, as you could probably tell, I really like this movie. I mean, it was really good. I enjoyed, the whole experience, the Panavision, the roadshow stuff. I'm gonna get a little more than just whiskey in there. I love the Panavision. I love the roadshow. I love the intermission. It was so cool. Intermission was a little weird. We didn't really know how long it was, so people were like going to the gents and trying to figure out. They didn't flash the lights like they do in the theater, but a lot of fun. I recommend anybody going to it. I think the roadshow is over, so sorry about that. It's just in regular theaters now, but great movie all the way around. I give it, and I'm gonna dump this into my drink here because it is whiskey strong. Normally I like that, but good lord. I'm gonna give this 4.5 drinks out of 5. Great movie. Tarantino is back. I'm not sure where I would rank it, so that's what I'm gonna ask you guys. What's your favorite Quentin Tarantino movie? I like this a lot. I think mine's still Pulp Fiction. So cheers, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a drink on me. Have a great night. If you like the channel, subscribe down at the bottom. Thank you so much. Good night.